Hi and welcome back to Conceptual OBG. I am Dr. Aditya and today I am going to be talking about a topic that I wanted to talk on for a long time, and thanks to Nadkarni's Medical Training Academy for the last 3 months that I've been here, that I could understand and now shoot this video. So the video today is going to be on IVF lab, how it looks like and what all are the procedures that are being done over there. So the video that I'm going to begin after this is going to be me showing you the camera towards various equipments that are there in an IVF lab, and I'm going to be telling you how each one of them functions. Before going there, you all need to understand when does the role of an IVF lab start. So first of all, when a patient comes to you for any treatment with infertility and it has been determined that she requires ART, that is IVF or ICSI, nowadays ICSI is the standard procedure of choice. Then the first thing that you do is, of course, you evaluate her for her hormones and her ovarian reserve. You evaluate the husband to see if the semen analysis is good enough, if we can procure sperms from that husband. And once everything has been set in motion, then we call her on day 1 or 2 of her subsequent cycle. And as per the recent, in fact, random start protocols, you don't even need to wait till day 2. So basically, you on any day of the month, technically, start her on your protocol. Your protocol can be anything, the long protocol, the short protocol. The most commonest one right now is your antagonist protocol. So you start her, the patient, on it, and after 10 to 11 days of giving those drugs to her, you give her a trigger. And after the trigger is given, which is for ovulation, after 34 to 35 hours, depending on which trigger you have given her, you call her back for ovum pickup. Now the next videos that I'm going to be showing you are going to be from that ovum pickup, and I'm going to be telling you how each and everything proceeds from there on. So let's go to the lab. And again, before I begin, thanks to Nadkarni's Medical Training Academy for giving me this opportunity to shoot this session. Not all the centers, the training centers, give you access to their labs, and I've been really grateful. I am grateful that I got this opportunity with them every single day. Apart from that, we have embryologists. So right now I am in the IVF lab and the IVF OT of Eva Care Hospital, which is one of the hospitals under Nadkarni's Medical Training Academy. So over there you can see that we have an ultrasound machine which is going to be used for doing the ultrasound guided ovum pickup. Once the ovum pickup has been done over here for a patient, the machine that we use for doing it is this suction machine. So the suctioning is going to be done, and once the suction is done, in these test tubes they are going to be collected. Now in this you are going to have a flushing media or a culture media to make sure that the oocytes are stored well enough, and then immediately they are going to be transferred to this test tube warmer block. So you see that this is a test tube warmer. So basically this will ensure that the oocytes and the follicular fluid which is collected from the body is maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. Once all these blocks are full, I'll be taking this, and from this gap, orifice, or whatever you can call it, I'll be transferring it to the IVF lab. Now the point of having this window, small window between the OT and the IVF lab, is that there should be minimum contamination because of the open door or because of any particulate matter entering inside the IVF lab.
So now I'll be depicting and showing you how is oocyte pickup done or ovum pickup done. And this is a video wherein I'll be showing you how the needle goes in and aspirates each and every drop from every follicle. So now you can see how that needle, as is marked by the arrow, is entering and going into each follicle. On the left you can see there is your uterus, and each follicle in both the ovaries are going to be aspirated. This aspirated fluid is, by the way, going to be in or collected in those test tubes that I showed you are kept in the block warmer. So they are going to be heated till 37 degrees, and then they are going to be sent inside the IVF lab. You can see that each and every follicle is being aspirated till its last possible drop. It is very important to note that not a single drop should be left out.
Now I'll be entering the IVF lab and I'll be showing you how it looks like. So right now I do not have any patient, so I've chosen to do this video. So over here right now what you can see is the entire IVF lab. I'll be showing you all the individual things and instruments that are used, but before beginning, very important is this thing. as you can see, this is an air purifier which is connected to this as well. So this air purifier is very important to ensure that no particulate matter or contaminants are there in this operative theatre and the IVF lab. Now over here what you can see is a class 2 laminar airflow workstation. Now why do I call it laminar airflow? So laminar airflow is basically when the air is coming from one direction. So over here you can see that this is the vent which throws air down in a single direction. Also you can see that this color over here is different from this color. So there are two different colors. The reason is this squared area, this color, this part over here along this line, all the part over here is going to have a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, whereas this is going to be around your room temperature as per the air conditioning that is done. The reason is those blocks are going to be kept over here which contains your test tubes inside it, and that will ensure that the 37 degree is maintained. Now this laminar airflow also has one more thing, and that is it has a HEPA air purifier or a HEPA filter. Now what is HEPA? HEPA is high efficiency purification of air, particulate air. So basically it filters out all the particulate matter from the air and reduces it to as low as 0.03%. Not just that, there are a lot of volatile organic compounds that are removed. The whole reasoning behind this is that oocytes and embryos cannot tolerate any particulate matter or any contamination, and in fact it is this and not just the procedure that helps you get better outcomes. Now this over here is a Nikon's microscope, or you can also call it a stereo microscope. Now the real deal over here is this is the microscope that is very useful for handling of the oocytes as well as the embryo. So this is actually where you will be handling it. So what do I mean by handling? So once I have received the test tubes from here, I'll be taking it, I'll be pouring it into a beaker. You can see that there is a beaker like this, and then from the beaker into one of these petri dishes. Now this petri dish is going to be kept over here, and under this microscope I can also see it on the screen once it is switched on. So you see now it has been switched on. So I'll just put my fingers and show that how you can see. So over here you are going to be able to see the oocytes. Now the follicular fluid is also going to contain blood contamination that has entered it during the collection procedure, and that blood is not good for these oocytes. So first of all I'm going to separate the oocytes from that follicular fluid, and I'm then going to transfer it to a washing media or a flushing media. Once that is done, I will be taking it into this petri dish and I'll be transferring it into a culture medium, and which is going to go into this machine that you can see over here. This is a CO2 incubator or just an incubator. Over here you can see that the temperature inside this is 37 degrees and CO2 has been maintained at 6%. Also inside this the oxygen concentration is going to be only 5%. In the atmosphere you of course know that it is around 21%, but that high percentage of oxygen is going to be detrimental to the health of your oocytes and embryos, because that leads to the production of reactive oxygen species. So what we do is, once I have collected those oocytes are also going to have cumulus oophorus on them. So entirely the COCs, the cumulus oocyte complex, is going to be taken, and for an hour or two it is going to be kept inside for something called as in vitro maturation. What is in vitro maturation? It is basically we give those oocytes some rest and we let a few immature oocytes develop into proper mature M2, that is meiosis 2 oocytes. So for 1 to 2 hours it is going to be kept inside this. Now there is one shortcoming of this machine, and that is, if you see and if you open this, there are going to be several, you see there are several chambers. I'm not going to change it much. So there are going to be several patients, oocytes and embryos with the naming and all kept inside. But for every time that I open this, there is a fluctuation in the temperature, there is a fluctuation in the CO2 concentration, O2 concentration, and these fluctuations are detrimental. Now imagine that I have 50 patients and their oocytes and embryos kept inside, and I'm opening it 50 times to access them. So for those 50 times, merely for the sake of one patient sample, the rest are also getting affected. So to cover up for the shortcoming of this machine, we have another high-tech machine over here, and this is called, right now this is switched off because we don't have anything inside. This is called as a benchtop. Benchtop incubator, wherein you can see that there are individual compartments over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. inside them you are going to have multiple individual columns. It is like having an individual uterus for each patient's embryos. So when you need to access them, you will be just taking out that patient's embryo or that patient's oocyte, and you are not going to affect the others. Over here, now that it is switched off, you will not see it, but your oxygen concentration, your CO2 concentration and your temperature is going to be maintained at the same level as this machine. So basically these two are the incubators. Now incubators are very important for the growth of these oocytes and also for the embryos. I'll come back to embryos later, but first about oocytes. Now once the oocytes have been kept here for 1 to 2 hours, they are brought out again. They are again brought to this workstation over here in the laminar airflow, where there is unidirectional air from up to down. Now they are going to be kept down in the same petri dish, and now I'm going to add something called as hyaluronidase inside it. Not more than 30 seconds to 1 minute should be the contact time. The reason I'm adding this is to separate the cumulus oophorus cells from the oocytes. Once these are separated, this procedure or this process is called as denudation. Very important. Once this denudation is done using hyaluronidase and also through pipetting outside in again and again, so mechanically also those cumulus cells go away from the oocyte. Once that is done, I'll be again taking this petri dish and I'll be keeping it back inside here. Now, the oocyte is ready for my procedure of ICSI, that is intracytoplasmic sperm injection, and now I'm awaiting for the arrival of the sperms. And now comes the most important part and the engineering marvel of any IVF lab, and that happens to be the inverted microscope with the Micromanipulator. This is a Nikon's Micromanipulator. So the reason it is called as Micromanipulator is because here it is where actual ICSI happens. So over here you can see that there are two such pipettes. Over here you can see 1 and 2. These are each connected to a manipulator. So this manipulator is going to have various ways of operating. You see there are all 3 axes in which you can move. So this is the holding pipette, wherein I'll be holding the oocyte with this one, and on the other side I'm going to have the injecting pipette, which is going to be controlled by another side. Now over here also, by the way, this is called as a stage, and this stage is also heated to 37 degrees to ensure that when the gametes are kept over here for the injection and holding process, they do not lose their viability. Now what happens is, with this pipette over here, I'll be holding the oocyte, and with this I'm going to be selecting, I'm going to be catching hold of a sperm, and I'm going to be directly injecting it inside. That is why this is called as intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So inside the cytoplasm of the oocyte or the ooplasm, I'm going to be injecting. This is called as a micromanipulator because I'm actually handling microscopic gametes, and this is where the magic happens. Over here there is a screen on which you can see this procedure go on when it is happening. Quite expensive, this machine, but this is where your actual engineering and manipulation of your gametes is going to take place. Now, once I've injected and my zygote is ready, I do not transfer it immediately. I have 2 options. One is either to transfer in the same cycle or to transfer it in the next cycle. So if I have to transfer in the same cycle, I have to make sure that after 3 days or maybe 5 days, 3 to 5 days, we either transfer it on day 3 or day 5. Day 5 is a blastocyst transfer, which is a good quality transfer. I have to decide whether I'm doing a frozen or a fresh cycle. 99% of people today do frozen cycles. But anyway, once the zygote is created, I have to make sure that for 3 days or 5 days, I am keeping it in a place where they can actually mature. So they are going to be shifted back again to the incubators, either this or this. Here they are going to stay for 3 to 5 days depending on which day of transfer do you intend to do. On day 3, you will be assessing them, you will be bringing it out, you will be seeing it under this stereo microscope over here, and if you're doing a fresh transfer, I'll be taking the patient again and I'll be transferring. If not, or if I have surplus embryos, I have 8-9 embryos that have been created and I intend to insert only 1 or 2, then I'll be taking those embryos and I'll be storing them inside this. Now this is a nitrogen cryo storage tank. So inside this there is liquid nitrogen which will help me keep all my either oocytes if I'm doing oocyte cryopreservation or my embryos until the day I decide to transfer. This process is called as, by the way, we do it by vitrification, which is an ultra rapid way of freezing the oocytes or your embryo, which ensures that there is no internal cellular crystallization. Inside this, if I'm to show you, ideally I shouldn't be opening, but just for a brief bit, you can see that there is liquid nitrogen inside, and these are all my storage handles of all the oocytes that have been kept in, oocytes and embryos that have been kept in. On the day of transfer, I'll be bringing them out. I'll be putting them in a 37 degrees Celsius media. I'll be thawing them basically, and then I'll be transferring it under USG guidance. So what began with the USG, the video began with the USG, also again ended with the USG. So this again is a very important machine to have over here. There are several other smaller things in the OT that you need to see and that you need to know, which I'm not focusing on. It is your embryo transfer catheter, you have your oocyte extraction needle. All of these things I'm not showing right now, they are under sterilized conditions, but this is how an OT works. So to revise, the ovum pickup happens here. It is stored over here, the follicular fluid is stored over here in this warmer, in this test tube warmer. Then it is transferred to the IVF lab. Inside this lab, you are going to have this laminar airflow where you'll be seeing them, you'll be separating the oocytes from your follicular fluid. They're not oocytes, they are cumulus oocyte complex, COCs, that are going to be separated. They're going to be kept in a petri dish, and then it is going to be transferred here, where they are going to be kept for 1 to 2 hours. They're going to be kept rested there for in vitro maturation. Once that is done, and once the sperm semen sample arrives to me after its processing, it will be going here. The micromanipulator is going to be used to inject the sperm into the oocyte. Once that is done, again they are going to be transferred back over here. Once that is done on day 3 or day 5, if I'm transferring it immediately as a fresh cycle, I'll be transferring it. If not, I'll be taking them to the storage, cryo storage. Nitrogen, liquid nitrogen is going to be used. And once that is done, I'm going to have a complete IVF and ICSI cycle done. Now I would like to thank.
Now I'll show you how the micromanipulator works, and later on I'll also show you something called as time-lapse imaging. So over here, using the injecting pipette, I am catching hold of sperms individually, and I'm going to capture as many sperms, as many oocytes that I have, so that I can inject each one of them inside the oocyte cytoplasm. Now over here you can see, using the holding pipette, I have held an oocyte, and then using the injecting pipette, I am going to inject one sperm inside it. Once the needle is inside, you can see now that a sperm is going to pass. See, now it just passed and got inserted. Now what you can see here is a time-lapse imaging. So basically, after the embryo is created, and rather the zygote is created, I've kept a camera to see the cell division that happens inside the incubator. You shall start seeing how a single-celled zygote will now start dividing into multiple blastomeres, and around day 3 to 4 you can see that there will be a morula formation, a 16-celled morula. Over here, this is a morula on day 3 or 4. After that, you're going to start seeing the formation of a blastocyst with a blastocele inside, inner cell mass and trophoblasts. This will happen on day 5.
All the people involved in this video, which happen to be Dr. Aditi Nadkarni, Dr. Vaibhav Nadkarni, Dr. Jigna Garasia, these are my tutors, and also a very specific and special mention to all the embryologists who have helped me understand this process so well. Our team has embryologist Ankit sir, embryologist Varsha ma'am, embryologist Priyanka, Priyangi, embryologist Pratibha. All these people, they have really helped me understand, so thank you so much. And that is my tour of the Nadkarni's Medical Training Academy's IVF lab. Thank you.